Our protagonist, Julius, wasn't exactly jumping for joy about being the hero. But hey, someone's got to do it, right? Not everyone can sit around eating chips and binging on video games while the world burns, after all. His dad, the king, felt a twinge of guilt about sending him off to do all those hero-y things, but Julius insisted he was proud to wield a sword for the people. It's all he's good at, really. Political maneuvering? Nah. Marrying into another kingdom? Pass. He had no intention of becoming some royal puppet in a Game of Thrones. With the sun casting a warm, golden light through the tall windows of the castle, Julius felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety swirling in his chest like an uninvited guest. He turned to look at his father, the king, who was gazing at him with a blend of pride and apprehension. Their shared smile reflected the complex emotions fathers and sons often grapple with in moments of farewells. They were standing in the grand hall, the walls adorned with tapestries depicting heroic deeds from ages long past, each thread telling a story of bravery that felt both distant and palpable. The king laid a hand on Julius's shoulder, his grip firm yet gentle, as if trying to impart strength to his son. "Just remember, you have a whole kingdom behind you," he said, his voice shaking just a little, betraying the worry that lay beneath his regal facade. "And if I die, make sure to get a good portrait done first," Julius interjected with a playful grin, trying to lighten the mood that was thickening like an impending storm. The atmosphere was a mix of seriousness and light-heartedness, a moment of levity before the storm of adventure swept him away. The king chuckled, his eyes softening, though they still betrayed a hint of worry. Yes, we'll ensure your legacy is immortalized in oil paint, my boy." The thought of being remembered as a heroic figure in a grand portrait made Julius chuckle, but he also felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Meanwhile, in a completely different part of this vast world, a spider was trekking through the lower stratum. She had finally reached a fork in the road. Or, more accurately, a giant chamber where the road just kinda disappeared. This place was huge, like can't see the other side, huge. Surrounding her were towering rock formations that loomed like ancient sentinels, their surfaces rough and unyielding, as if they had been carved out by the hands of time itself. The cold, damp air hung around her like an unwelcome cloak, clinging to her tiny body, making every hair on her exoskeleton bristle with anticipation. She decided to stick to the wall, classic dungeon exploring style, feeling a sense of adventure tinged with trepidation. Despite being inside a dungeon, there was a certain majesty to the place. The shadows danced eerily, creating a visual symphony of flickering darkness, and the sounds of dripping water echoed ominously, making her feel tiny and insignificant, which, as a spider, she arguably was. She remembered watching shows about unexplored regions back in her human life, thrilling tales of discovery and danger that left her breathless with wonder. Now, she was actually in one. This was her world now, and she couldn't be apathetic about it. The thrill of danger coursed through her tiny body like a shot of adrenaline. Suddenly, a monster appeared. A Bagragratch, level 14, no less. It looked lazy and slow, but it had a crocodile-like snout full of jagged teeth, glistening like a row of grim, serrated knives, not exactly soothing to the soul. The sight of those teeth reflecting the dim light made her skin crawl, and she stifled her presence, making a hasty getaway, her heart racing like a drum in her tiny chest. The spider wondered if she had accidentally stumbled into the bottom stratum, or maybe even the middle stratum. Ooh, that would be nice. She could use a little glam in her life. But then more Bagragratches appeared, levels 8, 4, and 11. Nope, definitely not the middle stratum. This was danger central, and not the kind of danger that involved dramatic music and heroic speeches. This was the kind of danger that made her realize that her little spider life was about to get a whole lot more interesting, or terrifying, depending on how you looked at it. She continued scuttling along the wall, quietly, her legs moving in a blur as she tried to blend into the shadows. She realized that her red stamina gauge had stopped decreasing after eating those last 3 monsters. Maybe her overeating skill was the cause? It could let her stock up extra energy by eating too much. Yes, really, I'm not making this up. It's like the ultimate buffet pass, but for monsters. Then, appraisal leveled up. Finally, she appraised herself and was greeted with a real skill list. HP auto recovery, poison fang, spider thread, and a whole bunch more. She was especially excited about Skanda, which multiplied her speed capability. What kind of mega overpowered skill is that? She imagined zipping around like a superhero, leaving her enemies in the dust. She also had a mysterious skill called N% I equals W that couldn't be appraised, probably just a bug anyway. Or maybe it was a secret code for get out of jail free. And a skill called Taboo, which she must never raise. Yikes. As she pondered over her newfound abilities, she appraised her magic skills, heretic magic, shadow magic, and poison magic, but she had no idea how to use them. Magical girl Kumoko will have to wait. No sparkles or catchy theme songs here. Suddenly, she spotted another monster, an Elroe Daznach, level 23. It was a grotesque creature that seemed to ooze malice from every pore. She could see its HP, MP, and SP, but the rest was status appraisal failed. Those numbers were huge. Time to value her own life. The adrenaline surged through her, and she felt her instincts kick in, a primal urge to survive that was as old as time itself. She continued to sneak around, using her spider-like agility to navigate the treacherous terrain. The damp stone floor was slick beneath her legs, but she moved with grace, her body perfectly adapted to the shadows. Just then, she spotted an Elroe Kohokoro, level 7. It looked like a huge pill bug with a rat's head, an unsettling combination that made her skin crawl. She wrapped it up tightly in her thread and finished it off with poison fang, feeling a sense of satisfaction as it succumbed to her venom. She acquired a new title, Thread User. Now, I would have been crazy about that in middle school. Hey, check out my awesome title, Thread User. I can spin webs like a pro. She also got the skill Cutting Thread. Time to experiment on the pillbug corpse. Cutting Thread granted a cutting attribute to her thread. It wasn't super strong at level 1, but it was a start. Suddenly, she sensed another presence, an Anagrach, level 8. It looked like a 6 or 7 foot tall monkey, which, let's be honest, is pretty terrifying for a spider. It charged at her with a speed that was both impressive and alarming, dodging her spider thread with surprising agility. She avoided its attacks, her heart pounding in her thorax, as she managed to stick some thread to its arm. But the monkey flung the thread upward, taking her with it. She detached the thread just in time to avoid being slammed into the ground, her heart racing. She tied more thread around the monkey and finished it off with poison fang, feeling triumphant for a brief moment. She leveled up. After eating the monkey, which tasted funky, probably not her favorite dish, she kept moving, determined to survive in this unforgiving environment. Meanwhile, in a kingdom far, far away, Prince Schlein, aka Julius's brother, was summoned by his father, along with Katia and Phi. They were all a bundle of nerves, worried that the conversation might revolve around an engagement. Spoiler, it won't work. I mean, come on, who are we kidding here? 2 elves entered the room, Potimus Haraphenas and a small girl named Philemus, who was actually their old homeroom teacher, Miss Oka. Her appearance was unexpected, and the trio exchanged confused glances, trying to process the sight of their former teacher in a world so different from the one they had known. Ms. Oka said she was there to make sure her students were safe. She had already found 11 other reincarnated students in the elf village. The warmth in her voice was a balm against their worries, wrapping around them like a cozy blanket. She invited Schlein, Katia, and Faye to join them, her voice full of warmth and reassurance. She also revealed that there were rumors about Faye being a genius pet. The shockwave of that statement rippled through the room, leaving them uncertain whether to laugh or cry. Back in the dungeon, the spider was exhausted. She needed a place to sleep. She decided to build a web between the ceiling and the wall, 300 feet in the air. Because of course that happened. What's a good night's sleep without a little altitude? She camouflaged it with rocks, making it nearly invisible to any passing predators. The web shimmered softly in the dim light, a testament to her hard work and ingenuity. She woke up feeling wide awake, every hair on her body standing on end. A group of monkeys had gathered in battle formation right below her. They knew she was up there. They started climbing the wall, their chattering voices echoing ominously in the cavern, a cacophony of sounds that sent a thrill of fear through her tiny body. She tried to escape along the ceiling, but it was too slippery. She tried to run sideways along the wall, but they started throwing rocks at her. Who could have predicted? Everyone. The sheer audacity of these monkeys made her blood boil. She decided to fight back. She scattered more threads, her heart racing as she readied herself for battle. She dropped a sphere of spider poison on the monkeys climbing the wall, her instincts kicking in. It worked. She dropped more poison, feeling a rush of exhilaration as the first monkey went down, its body tumbling lifelessly to the ground. Then, the remaining monkeys started avoiding the area directly below her nest and climbing up on either side, adapting their tactics in real time, which was both impressive and infuriating. She extended some silk toward the monkeys that shifted sideways, launching a casting net, feeling a thrill of victory as it tangled one of the monkeys. She continued to immobilize the monkeys with her sticky thread, but they were using their own allies as footholds to keep climbing. The sheer teamwork was infuriating, making her realize that these creatures were more than just simple beasts. They were cunning and resourceful in their own right. She fired another casting net. Then, a rock came flying at her. She dodged it in a panic, her instincts kicking in. They were working together way too well, and she realized that the number of monkeys was increasing. They were calling for reinforcements. Desperate to regain control of the situation, she ate a monkey to recover some stamina, her hunger forcing her to be pragmatic in the face of danger. She was running low on MP and stamina, the fatigue creeping into her limbs like a slow poison. She prepared a morning spider and tossed it at a monkey, then restrained it and struck with poison fang, her determination pushing her through the exhaustion, a fire igniting within her to survive against all odds. She acquired the evasion skill, a glimmer of hope in the chaos. But then disaster struck. Another monkey caught one of her legs. It was torn off. The pain shot through her, but she managed to jab her poison fangs into the monkey's hand, using her anger to fuel her will to survive. She leveled up. She molted, and her leg was restored, a sense of relief flooding through her. She returned to the battle, ready to face whatever came next. A monkey had gotten stuck to her web. They had reached her final line of defense. She extended a leg outside her simple home, trying to regain her footing. A monkey grabbed it. She sprayed out as much thread as she could, forming a huge clump of webbing. She activated thread control and detached the webbed lump from the wall. It crashed down toward the remaining invaders below, a satisfying sound echoing through the chamber as the thud resonated like a victory bell. She leveled up again. She had slaughtered a multitude of monkeys. She made it through the first wave. She saw the remains of the enemies who'd smashed into the ground, tangled in her threads. Among this gruesome carnage, she spotted the survivors, who still hadn't lost their will to fight. She added more threads to the wall. The monkeys hadn't given up yet, their determination as fierce as her own. Then, something she really didn't want to see appeared. Bagragratches, the evolved form of the monkeys. The sight of those larger, more intimidating creatures made her heart sink. Their monstrous forms loomed over her, casting eerie shadows that danced across the cavern walls. One of the giant monkeys lifted up a boulder and smashed it into her simple home, utterly devastating it. She had to make a new thread foothold, her mind racing as she tried to think of a plan. The monkeys were closing in, their grunts and growls echoing ominously in the chamber. She continued shooting thread toward them, focusing all her energy on creating traps. They were spreading out as far as possible and jumping onto the thread, trying to cover up as much of the sticky trap as possible with their own bodies to help their allies behind them pass more easily. One of the giant monkeys started moving. It ran in a straight line and jumped over the mass of threads and monkeys. She flung a casting net toward it, her heart pounding as it crashed into the wall right beneath her. She dropped spider poison into its mouth, her heart racing wildly with adrenaline. She leveled up again. Another one of the giants began to climb up along the same route as the regular monkeys. She slathered it with more thread, her mind laser-focused. The third giant monkey came right toward her, its huge mouth already wide open, and she felt a surge of fear. She jumped out of the way, off her foothold into empty space. The massive jaws crushed all of her right legs as well as part of her abdomen. She launched a thread and smashed against the stone, the impact rattling her senses. She managed to hang on to consciousness, her instincts screaming at her to fight back. With renewed determination, she restrained the giant monkey, holding its large maw open with webbing. Then she synthesized some spider poison and sent it right down the thing's gullet, feeling a rush of power as the creature's body bucked against her grip. She leveled up again. She had succeeded in slaughtering a multitude of monkeys all at once. The very last monkey was caught in her silk right before her. She wrapped more thread around its hand, rendering it totally motionless. She had immobilized all her attackers. She wasn't going to be able to get a good night's sleep anytime soon, and the thought made her sigh. She went to finish off the giant monkey, determination surging through her heart pounding with the thrill of victory. She synthesized some spider poison and dropped it into its mouth from above, feeling a rush of power as she watched the creature struggle before finally succumbing to her venom. She acquired a title, Merciless. This has to be some attempt at shaming me. I'm not that much of a heretic. She leveled up again. She was level 10 already. She could evolve again. She acquired another title, Monster Slaughterer. She went through the monkey disposal routine, her efficiency reaching new heights. Poison Fang, occasionally pausing for a snack or adding more threads, her mind racing with possibilities for her next evolution, dreaming of the power that lay just beyond her grasp. Until finally, she was the only creature left alive in the area. She survived. This was her first fair and square victory since arriving in the lower stratum, and she was pumped, feeling an exhilarating rush that coursed through her tiny body like fire. Meanwhile, Julius the hero entered the Great Elroe Labyrinth to defeat a unique Taratect, unaware of the trials and tribulations that awaited him. Little did he know, his journey would intertwine with the spiders in ways neither of them could ever imagine. The threads of fate were beginning to weave their intricate patterns, and both Julius and the spider would soon find their destinies intertwined in ways that would change the very fabric of their existence.